The settlement of New Haven huddled beneath a crimson sky, its makeshift walls crumbling under the relentless bombardment. For 3 days, the Croth-9 had circled the colony like vultures, their obsidian warships blocking out the stars. The colonists, miners, farmers, teachers, clutched whatever weapons they could find, knowing it wouldn't be enough. "They're not coming," whispered Marcus Webb, pressing his daughter close as explosions rocked the shelter. "Earth's too far. We're on our own." He wasn't wrong to think so. New Haven sat at the edge of explored space, a frontier world that took 6 months to reach even with slipspace drives. When the distress signal went out, everyone knew the math. By the time help arrived, there would be nothing left to save. But Marcus Webb didn't know about Colonel James Mitchell. 72 hours earlier, Mitchell had been in a briefing room at Fort Bragg when the message came through. The holographic display showed New Haven's coordinates, the estimated Croth-9 fleet strength, and the projected time to total colony loss, 96 hours. "It's a suicide run," said Admiral Patricia Hayes, her voice flat. "Even if we burn every gram of fuel, we'd arrive too late." Mitchell studied the data, his jaw tight. 400 families. 1,600 souls. American citizens who'd left Earth to build something new among the stars. "What if we don't slow down?" he asked. The room fell silent. "Sir, if you don't decelerate, the G-forces alone." "I know what it'll do," Mitchell interrupted. "But it'll cut our travel time in half. We use combat drop pods, hit them like a meteor shower before they know we're there." Hayes stared at him. "Your men will barely be conscious when you arrive. Half might not survive the descent. Then we'll fight with whoever's left standing." Mitchell turned to face her fully. "Ma'am, we don't leave our people behind. Not ever." The Croth-9 commander, Thexlar, watched the human settlement with satisfaction. These soft creatures had fought harder than expected, but it was over now. By dawn, his forces would breach the walls and claim this mineral-rich world for the Empire. Then his tactical officer hissed in alarm. "Commander, we're detecting anomalies. Multiple objects entering atmosphere at extreme velocity." "Debris from their satellites," Thexlar dismissed. "No, sir. These have active signatures. They're decelerating." Thexlar's 3 eyes narrowed. Dozens of burning trails streaked across the sky, too small for ships but too controlled for asteroids. They slammed into the ground with thunderous impacts, scattering his ground forces. From the craters, something emerged. Lieutenant Jessica Torres was the first out of her pod, every bone in her body screaming in protest. The G-forces had been hellish, she'd blacked out twice during descent. But her armor's auto-injectors were already flooding her system with stimulants and painkillers. She raised her rifle and opened fire. The Croth-9 soldiers were 7 feet tall, armored in bioengineered carapaces that could stop most conventional weapons. But Torres wasn't carrying conventional weapons. Her railgun spat tungsten rounds at hypersonic speeds, punching through alien armor like paper. Around her, more drop pods opened. Sergeant David Rodriguez stumbled out, blood running from his nose, but his heavy cannon was already tracking targets. Corporal Amy Walker couldn't stand, her leg was clearly broken, but she propped herself against her pod and started laying down covering fire with cold precision. "Rally on me." Mitchell's voice cut through the chaos. The colonel strode from his crater, his armor scarred but functional. "First and third squads, establish a perimeter. Second squad, get to those colonists." The Croth-9 had never fought humans before. They'd expected frightened civilians, not warriors who fell from the sky like angels of death. But they were professional soldiers of a galactic empire. They adapted quickly, bringing heavy weapons to bear. Torres dove behind cover as plasma bolts vaporized the ground beside her. Her HUD showed 8 friendlies down, 3 Kia. They were outnumbered 50-1. She grinned fiercely and switched her rifle to full auto. Marcus Webb couldn't believe what he was seeing through the cracked bunker window. The aliens that had seemed invincible were retreating, driven back by soldiers in powered armor bearing the stars and stripes of Earth. "Daddy, who are they?" his daughter asked. "Those," Marcus said, his voice choking with emotion, "are Americans." Mitchell's forces carved through the Croth 9 ground troops with brutal efficiency. Every Marine had trained for years in combat drops, void warfare, and close-quarters battle. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and half-dead from the descent. But they were United States Marines, and they'd be damned before they let civilians die on their watch. "Colonel, enemy warship is charging weapons," Rodriguez reported. "They're going to glass the whole site." Mitchell looked up at the massive vessel hanging in the sky like a dark moon. They had no anti-ship weapons. No air support. No way to stop it. "Then we make them pay for it," he said calmly. "All units, fix bayonets." But before the order could be executed, the sky tore open. The UNS Washington dropped out of slipspace directly above New Haven, a Nimitz-class carrier that had pushed its engines past safety limits to arrive just minutes behind Mitchell's drop force. Its railgun batteries opened fire immediately, spearing the Croth 9 warship with rounds traveling at a fraction of light speed. The alien vessel broke apart in a cascade of explosions. Admiral Hayes' voice crackled over the comm, "All Marines, this is actual. Cavalry's here. Let's finish this." 3 hours later, Marcus Webb shook Colonel Mitchell's hand in the settlement square. The Marine's armor was scorched and dented, and he swayed slightly from exhaustion and G-force trauma. "You came," Marcus said simply. "Everyone said you wouldn't make it in time." Mitchell smiled, though it looked painful. "Sir, the United States doesn't abandon its citizens. Not in Philadelphia, not in Kandahar, and sure as hell not out here." He looked up at the stars. "Doesn't matter how far you go. When you need us, we'll come. Every single time." As medical teams tended to the wounded and engineers began repairs, word of New Haven spread across the galaxy. The Croth 9 Empire lodged formal protests about reckless human aggression. Earth's response was simple: touch our people again, and you'll learn what reckless really means. And among the stars, in settlements scattered across 100 worlds, colonists slept a little easier knowing that if the night grew dark enough, warriors would fall from the sky to stand beside them. Because humanity doesn't leave its own behind. Not ever.